Hunt 41 is a celebration of American waterfowl hunting. The 41 species of ducks and geese are the roadmap for us to tell the stories of the various regions, styles of hunting, and most importantly, the people that are representing this great pursuit of ours. This is the original series, The Chase for the 41.
This is a land of cypress swamps, which gleam like the reflected image of a lost world. A dark primeval whose restless, whispering waters shadowy and often ominous light. Nowhere else in the world is there anything like the sheer abundance of wildlife. Nowhere else is the awe-inspiring spectacle of survival in nature so dramatic-stated.
Ever seen anything like this. It's Fast and Furious, ain't no doubt. You were not kidding, man, when you said that. Like reload as fast as you can, he says.
I came across Hunt 41, I think about 3 years ago. And I'm not sure exactly how it went about, but it came up on my Instagram page, and I got to following the Instagram page. I got to following Tyler, and me and Tyler kind of chatted back and forth for probably 3 years. I mean, every once in a while, just kind of checking in, see how things were. I know you guys were planning to make a trip down here, so I was saying like, man, I said, whether you hunt with me or not kind of thing, it's super diverse, and you guys need to make it happen as soon as you can.
That was epic.
That was pretty good. That was Fast and Furious for a little bit.
Oh man, that's awesome. You guys get some good shooting over here?
Yeah,
In one word, Florida is diverse, in my opinion. I mean, there's so many options of how you can hunt birds, where you can hunt birds, what kind of birds you're going to kill in that spot.
Like this. Yeah. There's never been duckweed out here like this. It's usually just clear. That one's the one that always has all the duckweed, and it's completely matted out. But all three of these now have duck.
I mean, you can drive from this spot right here in North Florida, you can drive to either coast and kill divers, or you can stay around here. You can find timber holes that hold wood ducks, and it's just a whole unique kind of hunting in itself. Then you can drive south and get on the big lakes and the river marshes and stuff and kill the teal. So that's my biggest thing, is like, it's so diverse. There's so much you can do, even if you're not hunting. I mean, if you want to get into like the real Florida, the old Florida, there's so much you can do with airboats. Get out in places where if you won't have any service, you'll get lost if you don't know what's going on.
Tyler, what's next, buddy?
What's up?
What are we doing next?
We're gonna head to the coast. We're gonna grab a little bite to eat. Get out there while the tide's still decent.
Hold up. Go. Okay. You give me that. Thank you. Good boy. Cool.
Wow. I was trying to work on him a little bit. He said that was his cousin.
The whistling duck, they're invasive. I know that for sure. I mean, we were just chatting about it, how they believe they escaped from an aviary down in Miami back in the 90s. Back in the 90s, and they breed all year round. The biggest thing is they push the wood ducks and some other birds out of their habitat and their nests and stuff, and just destroy their wood duck boxes. They kill the eggs, and I mean, it's a big problem. I mean, just like 4 or 5 years, they wouldn't see any whistling ducks up here at all. And then they just got a few started coming up. Now they're everywhere in ponds like this. They're on dairy farms. Unlike South Florida, where like, yeah, you'll have them on the dairy farms and stuff, but you also have them on a lot of public water too, as well. And then they're seeing them as far up as, like, I heard, like Indiana at some points too, which is pretty wild. So it's going to be interesting to see what they're going to do in the next 5 years. I mean, I think it's going to be it's going to be wild. Back in 2012, out of high school, I signed with the Mariners out of high school to go play minor league baseball.
Mike with a fastball gets it by.
Called strike.
The back
Cardinals got a hold of me, signed me. I played with them in Springfield, Missouri all summer, and ended up signing me back about, I think, late October to come back and have spring training. Saw this guy and his dad with a pile of redheads on the front of their boat. I mean, like, it was a pile, and they were all drakes. And back at that time, I had never killed a redhead, and it was probably one of my favorite birds and the bird I was really seeking after. Got to talking more. He played baseball, I played baseball. I made the trip up here to the coast for the redheads with me and my buddy. And that was the first time I actually met these guys. And after we've been talking for like 3 years, they put us on our first redheads. We got a couple good ones. Through that, I've made like 3 lifelong friends that I'll have forever. And that, I mean, I'm super grateful for them and the friendship we have, I mean, even outside of duck hunting.
Yeah.
You heard that gunshot?
I did hear that gunshot.
I think it was
They did?
my dad killing some ducks. Think he killed one?
I think he did.
Okay, yeah.
Now, wait. You got to tell me how old you are, and tell me what we're doing here.
I live here and I just do something all the time while I belong here. And I like going hunting of my favorites of the sun.
Tell me about what your dad does.
My dad kills goose and ducks and gators.
Low right here in front of us. Yeah. See how these are flying real low right here? Yeah. Now if they change up their flight pattern with this wind, yeah, I mean it's not bad walking right through here, you know, to get in the right position. Some call it the bar, some call it the pass. So on one side you have open water on the left, the other side you have 2 big islands that split each other before you have the shoreline, you know, the inner marsh. And it's got probably about a 3-mile channel that goes through it. That's why they call it the pass, and then the others call it the bar because on the map it looks like a bar top.
Lake Okeechobee means big water in the Seminole Indian language. With a surface area of 730 miles, it is the largest lake in the southeastern United States, stretching from the Kissimmee River through the Everglades into Florida Bay.
This morning, some were splitting this way and some were splitting this way. We'll just burn right through there until we jump them and figure out where they're at.
From 6,000 to 4,000 years ago, wetlands formed in much of what is now the lake. At its capacity, the lake holds 1 trillion gallons of water.
Man, this lake used to be one of the best lakes I've ever hunted. I mean, ringers, it used to rain ringers, teal and stuff like that, you know, chasing mottled ducks. You kill a bunch of mottled ducks here as well. Those are, you know, the ducks we hunted, you know, 9% of, you know, the ringers before the black bellies and stuff. You know, up to about 4 years ago, we really started getting to the black bellies. And that's the only reason why I'm able to have a duck season is the black bellies. Because the ringers, I mean, all the vegetation stuff they've been spraying out for the past 3 years just ruined the, you know, the ringer population. Same thing goes with bass fishing. You see, you know, between, there's it's called Big Island, Bumblebee Island. You could never drive through there with an outboard just because the hydro's so topped out in there. Well, the bass fishermen, I mean, they tear them up in there. Now it's all muck, you know, sand bottom, muck bottom, just no vegetation. They continue to spray.
What are they doing the spraying for?
They say they're spraying invasive weeds. A lot of the guys that come from up north down to fish and stuff weren't, you know, able to get their $60,000, $70,000 boats through the marsh or through the, you know, to go fishing because of hydrilla and stuff like that. So that had a lot to do with it, and they said they're spraying invasive, you know, weeds, but winds up killing everything. All your hydrilla, all your hyacinth. They said it's to maintain the hyacinth, but it's just killing everything. And you know, growing up, we're always hunting, always in the marsh. She'd drop us off in the marsh at, you know, 10 years old by ourselves. Our first birds were models. We lined up, there's four of us boys, and there's 4 models right in the decoys, right at shooting light. So we boomed them down. Those were our first ducks. Me and my buddy, and we hunted out, and we learned the rough way. We didn't have nobody really showing us the ropes, but we loved it and stuck with it. Ducks down?
Yeah.
How many you get?
Just 1, 2, 3.
3?
And then that one too.
We hunted the lake this morning, and now we're in a high agricultural area, and basically they just a lot of food for them here and stuff, and the black bellies just kind of bounce back and forth between these different little ponds and drainages in this ag area.
Load a shell, load a shell.
So we walked down here and held off on a lot of shots until we got the ones right in range where we wanted them and made them pay rent. Right on.
Does he take people out hunting?
Yeah.
Yeah? What's your favorite kind of hunting with your dad?
Duck hunting.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And ignition and liftoff of Ares 1X. Testing concepts for the future of new rocket design.
If it's cool, I'll put a mic on you a little later if that's all right with you.
That's great.
I don't want to call them an invasive species, but we started seeing more and more of them after Hurricane Andrew in 1992. A bunch of them escaped from the Miami Zoo, and they breed like rabbits. And since '92, we're just seeing more and more and more of them. They're actually from South America, and the fulvus, same thing, but they didn't come over in the hurricanes. They kind of went around the Gulf of Mexico and established here also.
Right back, and I'll go ahead and run in there, and then Josh will run right in behind us.
I grew up in Ohio and moved down here in '85, attended the academy down here, and then went to work. You know, everybody comes to Florida for, you know, the theme parks, and none of them get to experience out here. I mean, one of the most beautiful places I've ever been to. It was a culture shock though, because I did all of my hunting in fields or up on Lake Erie on the breakwalls. So I had to learn how to hunt this area. stretch of the county, there's over 1 million acres that we can access. We're shooting the marsh today because what we have in front of us and to our right is a black belly roost. We're about 300 yards off the roost at both ends. So they're either going to fly early or they're going to fly late. Normally when there's no wind and it's cold, because they're subtropical birds from South America, they'll wait for the sun to come up a little bit before they'll fly. Hunters. This is called the C40 block, and it's one of the largest ones in the state. I mean, it runs from all the way from 192 all the way down to the stick marsh. And there's some big gators back in here. Now we do have the invasive willows in here, and they planted those at the turn of the century to dry up the marsh. Sugarcane farmers did. They've just now gotten a hold of them to where they're killing them back with herbicides from, they spray them by helicopter.
Really?
Yeah. St. John's Water Management District has done a great job managing some of these areas. Others just got away from them, and they'll never come back in our lifetime.
Smooth and some of them be more rigid. But I think there's two varieties. There's the silver. When Florida was first started, you heard me say land rich and cash poor. We had all these people coming into Florida.
The land where the sun reigns.
They built the East Coast Railway. They built roads. You know, everything was going to Miami. That was the destination. And then you had stops in between, Jacksonville. So it brought people in. So the more people that are here, the more it taxed the state to provide resources, and people don't understand how it got this way. They think that, you know, the farmers came in here and dug a bunch of ditches and started planting crops. So when the state was almost bankrupt, that's how they could get work done, and it was to bring more people, to bring more money. So you gave up more land, and somebody did the work.
We tend to think of everything as how natural it is. There's not much left that's natural that man hasn't touched. So Matt and I keep fighting over and over again to share what we have of wild Florida, because that process that we just talked about, it's gone. It's not coming back. You can't. We're not tearing down the dike. Too many people. That 9 million people live south of Lake Okeechobee, and water in Florida flows south. We've got to learn to live in this kind of new normal and how that works. And so,
I mean, what we're trying to provide is a story. The experience about the ranching, about the history, you know, about how the lake used to flow through here, and I don't think it's all about stacking up a bunch of birds at the end of the day. I mean, we've got guys that come out of here and they're tickled to death because they got their first bird, or a kid got their first bird and they never shot, or their dog got their first retrieve. So it's that experience, but a handful of us have kind of been pushed ahead to tell that story.
need to walk slow because they will hold tight some days. When they jump, I'll call snipe, or if they jump and make that noise, you'll know. It's that beep, beep. They'll just make a little roadrunner noise. I did it.
Tell me the plan today.
The plan is I hope Pike has good whistling skills and can get them to whistle close enough off of their X with our speckle-belly decoys. So we're throwing all hands on deck, throwing everything at them here, hoping for the best.
Right on.
From all of us at Hunt 41, this is American Waterfowl.